Oh yeah,
where you
remember
were?
9/11? We were up in Maine at the time this happened, like this here. And of course, no, this was unexpected to every one of us. None of us expected planes to go into that building and do what they did, especially when we found out that they actually came through Portland, Maine, the one commandeered that one plane, and we saw pictures of them. And even that security guard, I think he was so devastated that he finally quit his job because he suspected that they were up to no good. But like everything else, you can't go ahead and profile and things like this here, so it was kind of hard. And then when it did happen like this here, it devastated all of us because here it is, the news came up, we saw this all in the news. I mean, actually, things are happening. We're actually seeing one of the planes go right in like this here from the news, that they could see it coming through. And none of us could believe that this was really happening to us in the United States like that. But they were determined to show that we have a weak spot and that they can come in and do whatever they want, whenever they want. And that kind of made me feel really bad because here I am being in the military and we couldn't do nothing about it. So how do you go ahead and take care of that? How do you go ahead and say, well, we're going to change our ways of protecting? You can't. You can't. It's hard, really. It's just like police. You can't be everywhere, at every place like that. But it's a lesson learned. It just goes to show you, when they're determined to do something, they're going to do it, and they're going to leave a mark on us that we'll never forget.
I think I was in third grade when it happened, and I remember hearing it on the playground before school started, and a friend told me what had happened, and I remember thinking that she was making it up and not believing her until we got into the classroom and my teacher said something about it, and I just I think it didn't register quite the impact of it, but just seeing how adults were reacting made me really realize how big of a deal it was. But I was so young that a lot of it went over my head.
You get to see the first plane go in, and then we did see the second plane. And then when the second plane did go in, we did try to call Washington, D.C., which our daughter was in the Pentagon at the time. And of course that scared us, and we couldn't get through like everything else. All the phones were jammed, everything else was jammed. And all of the Pentagon area, Alexandria, everything else was just in a turmoil and chaotic deal because nobody knew what was going on, what was happening. She ended up in a bunker down the bottom, down with, at the time was Secretary of State was Powell, and she ended up in a bunker with him, and they still didn't know what was happening, even when they were in a bunker until after the fact. So with the smoke and everything else in there, but a lot of people got lost even in the Pentagon. So, like I said, it's unfortunate this happened.
I remember I was at work. I worked at Mapletronics at the time in Techsport, and I remember we started hearing all sorts of rumors about stuff that was going on, and I actually ran home and got a portable TV and brought it into work, and we all just work was pretty quiet that day, and we all just sort of sat around the TV and watched what was going on, and yeah, it was a sad and somber day.
Well, I remember it really clearly. I was in 5th grade in Miss Robertson's class, and all of a sudden, they through the system, they told the teachers to turn on the TVs, and she's all we could see was the towers coming down, and I honestly didn't know what was happening. I just saw my teacher started crying. She started making phone calls. Everyone was kind of panicking because we didn't know what was going on. We were 5th graders. Come on. But yeah, I didn't realize she explained what had happened, and at that moment I realized that there's dangers in the world. That's literally when my eyes opened, and I was like, it's always like mom and dad always are protecting you, but there's other dangers that they can't protect you from. So you have to kind of take care of yourself. Always watch out how the world is changing. Take precautions. So
15 years later, it's still sad. You remember all the scenes. I still remember vividly watching the second tower fall on TV, and just the kind of the terror is the right word for it. But I don't think much beyond that.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that we're struggling with today is a lot of Islamophobia that has been sparked from 9/11 because of the fear that we remember from that event, and we want someone to blame. And so we blame the people who we thought caused that fear, and instead of, naming the exact people or the source, we name a group of people, which I think can be really problematic. And I went to college at Goshen College, and I did a study service term in Morocco, which is a Muslim country, and so I remember thinking a lot about the differences between the US and being in Morocco, and how there, if you see someone in a hijab, it's like, oh, scary, or it's different. But there it's like just, sort of a fashion statement, and also just part of your day-to-day life and your beliefs. And anyway,
like we see it like with the with airport security, especially, it's always on the news. Like I travel to Mexico a lot, visit family over there, and it's a bigger hassle than it was. As a child, I remember just showing our documents and going through the border. Now they have to search us, they have to do a lot of things, and I know it's for like everyone's safety, so I'm not complaining about it, because I wouldn't want anything like that to happen again. Yeah.
I was at work. I worked at Homecrest, and a lady from another department called me and told me what was going on, and it was like I was in total shock. I thought, well, I had a weird thought. The first thing I thought of was, oh my gosh, we're going to be at war. And my husband was in Vietnam, and he said, I'm going to Vietnam because I'd rather fight over there than to have them be on our shore. And the first thing I thought was, he lied to me, because he said he went over there so they'd never be here, which I know was illogical, but that's what I thought. Plus, my son had been in Desert Storm. I had a nephew that eventually was in Iraq 3 times. So it was a very devastating time for us and our whole family. It was just really awful. How it affected us? Well, my nephew was there 3 times. I've got another nephew that's in the Navy. He went in because of 9/11. And he is now over in Turkey somewhere, still involved in the whole terrorist movement. So that's how it just daily affects our family.